Jaya Girivaridhari Jaya Girivaridhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaridhari Jaya Girivaridhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaridhari Jaya Girivaridhari Yasodanandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Jaya Raja Janaranjana Jamuna Tiravana Chari Jaya Kunjabi Hari Jaya Jamuna Tiravana Shari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jamuna Tiravana Shari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaridhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaridhari Jaya Yasodanandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Jaya Raja Janaranjana Jamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Punjabi Hari Jaya Jamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Punjabi Hari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So first I'd like to thank everyone for coming tonight. When our mutual associate, Nityananda Sundar Mahaprabhu, first told me of his plan to hold 7 days Bhagavad Saptaha here in Queens, I was a little concerned for the size of such a program. Then he told me, okay, 7 days and 3 lectures a day. So then I realized the size got even bigger. So, but at his request, I'm here to talk to you tonight about Srimad Bhagavatam. So how important is the Srimad Bhagavatam? Most scholars agree that the Bhagavad Gita is the most important of all the Vedic literatures. But still, Srila Prabhupada explained. So the Bhagavad Gita, this is the beginning of real spiritual education. Here in the West, we had, of course, religion, but that religion consists of do's and don'ts, yama and niyama. Follow these rules, don't do these things. But never touched upon the actual nature of the self, of the soul. So Bhagavad Gita, that is the beginning point, Aham Brahmasmi. We can say this is like ABCs of spiritual life. But beyond Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada described the Srimad Bhagavatam as the graduate study of spiritual realization. So in Bhagavad Gita, we learn that we are not this body. But what is the spiritual world? What is the nature of Krishna? What is the nature of Krishna and his devotees? So Srimad Bhagavatam means the beautiful story of Lord Krishna and his devotees. Before coming to the United States, Srila Prabhupada was well aware that there were several hundred translations of Bhagavad Gita into the English language. But he said that when he came to America, he could not find even one devotee of Krishna. Even though Krishna is mentioned on every page of Bhagavad Gita as Bhagavan, Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. Still, the translators of Bhagavad Gita never explain that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and how to serve Krishna. So that information, that is the entire subject of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Religion, Vedic scriptures are very vast, and they concern many subjects about also how to live within the material world. But the Srimad Bhagavatam is called the Amalam Puranam because it is free from any material subject matter. The only subject matter of Srimad Bhagavatam is Krishna and Krishna's devotees. So just as Krishna is existing before the creation of the material energy, Krishna is completely spiritual. This means that Krishna's name, Krishna's form, Krishna's activities, they are also beyond and existing before the creation of the material energy. So this is, when we say that Krishna is completely transcendental, or Krishna is completely spiritual, this is what we're talking about. Sometimes the impersonalists, they think that Krishna is less than an ordinary man. I'm an ordinary man, but I have a wife, I have family, I have children, I have friends. Tonight I'm making many new friends. But they say that Krishna has no form. Krishna has no friends. Krishna has no family. Krishna has no activities. So in this way, they try to make the source of everything less than the creation. So this is the logical impossibility. How can God be less than his creation? Janmad yasya yataha means that everything originates from Krishna. So that means it is existing in Krishna before it can be manifested here within the material world. So Krishna is a person, and Krishna has his associates. Krishna has his loving pastimes with his devotees. Those are not material things. They are spiritual. The fact that here in the material world, family is contaminated by these material bodies. Prabhupada said that in the material world, there's no such thing as love. Actually, everything is an exchange. Yes, my wife, if she came tonight, she would say that she likes me. She might say that she loves me, but it depends on what I do. If I act in a certain way, love is over. Marriage is over, family is over. So it's actually an exchange of service here within the material world, which is conditional. Love in the spiritual world, that is beyond conditions. That is beyond conditions. So the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, this is the first 16 chapters that I've been asked to talk about tonight. This is all about the activities of Mahatma Vidura. So Mahatma Vidura was a pure Vaishnava. Even though he appeared not in a Brahmin family, he appeared as the son of a maidservant in a Kshatriya family, in a royal family. So he was not qualified by social standing in two different ways. But he was actually pure devotee of Krishna. So Prabhupada explains that Brahmana means one who knows Brahman. By definition, those who are Vaishnavas, those who are pure devotees of Krishna, they understand Krishna, which is the ultimate understanding of spiritual realization. That means that they are automatically Brahman. They're automatically higher than Brahman. So Mahatma Vidura, he gave advice to his elder brother Dhritarashtra and his son Duryodhana. The Kurukshetra war was about to happen, and Lord Krishna appeared as a peace mediator. He came to the court of the Kurus, and he gave advice how to avoid this war. So Vidura was asked for his opinion, and he immediately advised that you have to give Maharaj Yudhisthira what is his fair inheritance. He had gone through so many different struggles, so many different games or problems that the Kurus put in their way, but now that was all complete. And he had completed even living in exile, even though he was a perfectly honest man. He had been cheated in gambling, but he honored his word and went into exile. So when Mahatma Vidura gave this advice, his nephew Duryodhana became very angry and said he should be thrown out immediately. He is a spy for the other side, and even suggested that he should be beaten and all his possessions taken away and thrown out. So without hesitation, Mahatma Vidura immediately placed his bow down the doorway to the palace and left, and immediately completely renounced everything he had in the material world. So this renunciation, I'm telling this long story, only to highlight this one point, that the pure devotee is completely renounced. They know that there is no happiness to be had here within this material world. Any happiness that it seems that we have, that is temporary. Even if we have the most pious family, still I have to get old. My wife has to get old. Sometimes we talk. Who will pass away first? At this age now, I'm 68 years old, so actually I joined Krishna consciousness 50 years ago. At that time, could not even think that I will have this kind of discussion with my wife later in life. But still, we have to discuss. Who will leave this body first? So that is our situation here within this material world. So we can say that in the material world, even if we are the most pious, the most religious, even if we do our duty perfectly, still the real cruelty of this life is that it is completely temporary and can end at any time. Yesterday morning we received a phone call from one of my wife's work associates. So someone worked very closely with her, 67 years old, passed away. So everyone's shocked. Here in America, we expect to live, average person here in the United States, college educated. For ladies, they're living on average 87, 88 years old. Average. Men living less, but close. But 67 years old, that's it. Has to leave this world. So this is the ultimate cruelty here within this material world. So Mahatma Vidura immediately left and he began to travel he gave up everything. He had no possessions. Even he had no way to even comb his hair. If his relatives saw him, Srimad Bhagavatam says they could not recognize him. But he traveled to so many holy places. The third canto informs us that he saw 1,000 deities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is something wonderful. Sounds like an amazing number, but those of us who have been to Vrindavan, I don't know the latest count, but it's something like 5,000 temples in Vrindavan. I'm not too far off. I keep a few pundits who signal when I'm saying the right thing. So, in Vrindavan, this is also possible. So in his travels, he met first Uddhava. So Uddhava is a great, pure devotee of Lord Krishna. Very intimate devotee of Lord Krishna. And so the first 8 chapters or 10 chapters of the third canto, Mahatma Vidura is asking questions of Uddhava. But eventually, Uddhava said, I've spoken enough. Now you should go to the great sage Maitreya Rishi. And you'll find him on the banks of the Ganges. Prabhupada mentions in his purport that he was at Hardwar. So Uddhava became overwhelmed with emotion, speaking to Mahatma Vidura about Lord Krishna and his pastimes. So he requested Vidura that now go and ask questions of Maitreya Rishi. So that is like the next 8 chapters of the third canto. And I'm going to read for you a verse from this section of the third canto. So this is third canto, chapter 15, text 46. Kumara uchu yontar hito redikato piduratmanam tvam so daiva no nayana moolam anantaradha yarhieva kana vivarena guham gatona pitranuvani taraha bhavadud bhavena. This verse is spoken by the 4 Kumaras to Lord Vishnu when they first tried to enter Vaikuntha Loka, and they were stopped by the gatekeepers, Jai and Vijay. So there was some disagreement, and Lord Vishnu himself came to the gate to speak to his devotees. The Kumaras said, "O dear Lord, you are not manifested to rascals, even though you are seated within the heart of everyone. But as far as we are concerned, we see you face to face, although you are unlimited. The statements we have heard about you from our father Brahma through the ears have now been actually realized by your kind appearance." Report by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The so-called yogis who concentrate their mind or meditate upon the impersonal or void are described here. This verse of Srimad Bhagavatam describes persons who are expected to be very expert yogis engaged in meditation, but who do not find the Supreme Personality of Godhead seated within the heart. These persons are described here as Duratma, which means a person who has a very crooked heart, or a less intelligent person just opposite to a Mahatma, which means one who has a broad heart. Those so-called yogis who, although engaged in meditation, are not broad-hearted, cannot find the four-handed Narayan form, even though he is seated within their heart. Although the first realization of the Supreme Absolute Truth is impersonal Brahman, one should not remain satisfied with experiencing the impersonal effulgence of the Supreme Lord. In the Ishopanishad also, the devotee prays that the glowing effulgence of Brahman may be removed from his eyes so that he can see the real personal feature of the Lord and thus satisfy himself fully. Similarly, although the Lord is not visible in the beginning because of his glaring bodily effulgence, if a devotee sincerely wants to see him, the Lord is revealed to him. It is said in Bhagavad Gita that the Lord cannot be seen by our imperfect eyes. He cannot be heard by our imperfect ears, and he cannot be experienced by our imperfect senses. But if one engages in devotional service with faith and devotion, then God reveals himself. Here the 4 sages, Sunat Kumar, Sanatana, Sanandana, and Sanaka, are described as actually sincere devotees. Although they had heard from their father Brahma about the personal feature of the Lord, only the impersonal feature, Brahman, was revealed to them. But because they were sincerely searching for the Lord, they finally saw his personal feature directly, which corresponded with the description given by their father. Thus they became fully satisfied. Here they expressed their gratitude because although they were foolish impersonalists in the beginning, By the grace of the Lord, they could now have the good fortune to see his personal feature. Another significant aspect of this verse is that the sages describe their experience of hearing from their father Brahma, who was born of the Lord directly. In other words, the disciplic succession from the Lord to Brahma, and from Brahma to Narada, and from Narada to Vyasa, and so on, is accepted here. Because the Kumaras were sons of Brahma, they had the opportunity to learn Vedic knowledge from the disciplic succession of Brahma, and therefore, in spite of their impersonalist beginnings, they became in the end direct seers of the personal feature of the Lord. So, I want to begin with the last point that Srila Prabhupada is making in this purport, which is actually the introductory point I was making in this talk. How could it be? I'm trying to recall the exact number, but I think 270 English translations of Bhagavad Gita were in print in English before Srila Prabhupada came to the United States. But still, he could not find one devotee of Lord Krishna. So here, in this purport, Srila Prabhupada gives us the answer. We must hear the transcendental science from the advanced Vaishnava who is coming in disciplic succession. So I was very fortunate to meet my spiritual master in 1973, and I received initiation in 1974. So we may ask, what does this initiation means? The main duty of the disciple is to maintain the sampradaya, to maintain the disciplic succession. This means that we can never add anything, we can never subtract anything from the teachings we have learned from our spiritual master. Evam parampara praptam imam raja shayo vidu sakalaneha mahata yogo nashta parantapa. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains that this science was first explained, as Prabhupada mentions here, from Lord Brahma to Narada, from Narada to Vyasa. So our sampradaya is the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya sampradaya. So coming from Lord Brahma to Madhvacharya, Gaudiya means Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and the spiritual masters coming from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to here to the present day. So this is the system. Prabhupada explained that it's just like a mango and a very tall tree. Prabhupada says if you climb to the top and you throw down the mango will be smashed and ruined. No one can enjoy that mango. But if a number of men climb, the man on top, he hands to the man under him. He hands to the man under him. And eventually comes down to us here, then we have beautiful mango. So this is the nature of the Vedic knowledge. It must be transmitted from spiritual master to spiritual master. And the qualification of that spiritual master, they cannot change anything. Has to be when someone speaks on the spiritual subject matter, we can test that. There's 3 tests: Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. These are the 3 tests. So we have to become qualified in order to see what is true spiritual knowledge coming in bona fide sampradaya and in line with these 3 tests. So a foolish person, uneducated person, that's very difficult. When I was a new devotee, Temple President Gopijana Ballabha went to India to the Mayapur festival. And he left a senior devotee, Harikesh Prabhu, in charge. And we were very close. We were brahmacharis together. He called me into his office one day. He said, "Why do you believe anything I say?" I said, "Prabhu, you're a very advanced devotee, and I'm trying to learn Krishna consciousness from you." He screamed, "No!" He picked up one of Prabhupada's books. He said, "You study Srila Prabhupada's books. Then you'll know if what I am saying you should follow or not." So I was shocked. You know, I had great admiration. I lived with him, you know, we slept on the floor together, you know, and had an amazing standard of devotional service, and a great scholar. So I was shocked. But actually, he was making this point: Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. So we have to see that when someone wants to speak on spiritual subject, that is in line with the spiritual master, in line with sadhu. So saintly persons, they agree on these principles of spiritual realization and also Shastra. So that's why Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, when that came to the West, now we have Hare Krishna temples all around the world. The current number, I'm not sure, but it's
More than 800.
more than 800. Another one of my pundits assisting me.
Bangladesh has 135 now.
Bangladesh, 135. So this is in itself a miracle. As you know, to preach Krishna consciousness in Bangladesh, this was not only illegal, but incredibly dangerous. So, still, Prabhupada's disciples, somehow or another, we didn't care whether we would live or die in order to follow Srila Prabhupada's orders. Even in New York, when I joined, it was very dangerous. So no one had ever seen people in dhotis and saris. And so it was a regular experience for us, you know, to be beaten or attacked on the street, to be arrested by the police. Eventually the police grew to love us. So you know, we've worn them down here in New York. At the last New York Rath Yatra, I hope everyone here had the opportunity to attend. So I went and I parked my car, and then I walked, and the parade had just started. And as soon as I started to cross Fifth Avenue, there was a policeman on a motorcycle, and he said, "Hare Krishna!" So, as soon as he saw me. So this is, maybe he was there 50 years ago. He remembers me. I don't know. But, this change, to change the hearts of conditioned souls, this can only be done by the pure devotee who is giving Krishna's, giving Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam exactly according to the disciplic succession. When Srila Prabhupada first brought his disciples to India, I believe it was 1971, and the Western devotees had never been to India before. So at that time, there was one of Prabhupada's leading disciples at that time was Hansaduta Prabhu, and Srila Prabhupada brought him and also brought his wife, Himavati. So they held Pandal programs in Bombay at night. And this was like 20,000 people a night came. And it was a tremendous, so Prabhupada would have the devotees do kirtan, then Prabhupada would speak, Then Srila Prabhupada would take questions from the audience, and people would line up, 100 people would line up to ask a question. So some questions, of course, were very learned, people sincerely trying to advance. Some were challenging. So one man stood up, he said, "Swamiji, can you show me a miracle?" Prabhupada turned to his American disciples, he said, "Here are my miracles." So, someone might manifest a golden deity out of the sand. All right, so how much is gold worth? How much an ounce? So that is the value of that miracle. But to change the hearts of materialistic persons, please trust me, you know, my family did not raise me to grow up to be like this. They raised me to be first-class materialist, doing every sinful activity. They consider that to be the business of a real Western gentleman. Every sinful activity. So, to change the heart of people like this, that is a miracle. That is a miracle. When I first went to my mother and I told her I'm becoming a vegetarian, she said, "I have to take you right now to Dr. Rosenthal. He's going to explain to you that if you don't eat meat, you'll die." So this is the world that Prabhupada came to, that Prabhupada preached, changed the lives of so many people. And although we were just children, when I joined, I was so young. And when Srila Prabhupada left the planet, I was only 22 years old. So Prabhupada, in a very brief period of time, he took some useless American boys, and from then to now, we have 800 temples all around the world. So this is not being done by me, not being done by my God brothers. This is being done by Krishna, by the mystic power that Srila Prabhupada demonstrated personally every day that we were with him. Every day. Be impossible for me to explain what a powerful, perfect yogi that Srila Prabhupada was. He did, by mystic power, he decided to spread Krishna consciousness all around the world, and only by his desire to serve Lord Chaitanya, these things came to pass. I'll tell you one more story, then I'll come back to the verse. One of my godbrothers, older godbrother than me, joined in 1968 at 26 Second Avenue, which I think you know, Prabhupada's storefront in Lower Manhattan. So at that time, Prabhupada was living in the apartment upstairs behind the storefront. And my godbrother Nayana Baram, he went up to see Srila Prabhupada, and he saw that on his desk, Prabhupada had a globe, right? A globe is a map of the whole world. And Prabhupada was turning the globe and pointing here and turning. And Nayana Baram asked Prabhupada, Swamiji, at that time they called Swamiji. Swamiji, what are you doing? Prabhupada said, I am planning. He said, and if they knew what I was planning, they would put me in jail. So this is how big Prabhupada's plan was, even when he only had a handful of Western disciples. Prabhupada was always acting on the platform of the advanced devotee. So the four Kumaras, coming back to the four Kumaras, the four Kumaras were the firstborn sons of Lord Brahma. And they were perfect yogis. And by their mystic power, they could travel anywhere, to any planets. So they went to the spiritual planet also, Vaikuntha Loka. And there they wanted to enter. But at the gate were two gatekeepers, all the residents of Vaikuntha Loka. They looked like Lord Vishnu. And those gatekeepers were Jai and Vijay. So they wanted to enter. But actually, Jai and Vijay refused them entry into Vaikuntha Loka. So the actual reason, when they were denied entry, they became angry. They said, in Vaikuntha, there should be no discordant feeling. Because in Vaikuntha, everyone is serving the Lord. So how can it be that they are stopping us from entering into Vaikuntha? And they became angry, and they cursed Jai and Vijay to fall down to the material world. So this is an interesting contradiction that is one of the pastimes described here in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the beautiful story of Lord Krishna and his devotees. So Jai and Vijay were actually faultless, but Lord Krishna, Lord Vishnu, wanted them to come to the material world in order to fight with him as the great demons, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. So this was the actual desire of Lord Vishnu. So this seems like a curious reason. So coming back to what I said earlier, Janmad Yasya Yataha. Everything originates in Krishna. Everything that exists originally comes from Krishna. So just as we have the desire sometimes for a contest, like two brothers. Oh, now we'll wrestle. Who will be stronger? I will defeat you. So this we can describe as the desire to fight or the desire for some kind of heroic contest. This mood, these feelings are there originally also in Krishna. But when Krishna comes to the material world, he's not looking for a small-time demon like we find here at the current time. So at the current time, of course, in Kali Yuga, we have plenty of demons. But they're ignorant, they're stupid, they're living a very short period of time. They're getting old, they're getting diseased, they're dying. They're already being defeated by material nature. Already being defeated by material nature. They are not sufficient to be in a contest with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So sometimes Krishna wants his devotees to come to the material world in order to have proper wrestling match, if you will. Prabhupada says, just like a king, he keeps some professional wrestlers as part of his court, or professional sword fighters. Why? He wants to practice wrestling. He wants to practice fighting. He wants to practice swordsmanship. So he has to have suitable high-level person in order to fully utilize his skills. So this was the actual reason why Jai and Vijay received this curse. So when they were cursed by the four Kumaras, they didn't lament. They said, we only ask two things. First, that we'll only go to the material world for a short period of time. And second, that we will never forget the Supreme Lord. So Lord Vishnu, when he came out and spoke to the Kumaras, he said to Jai and Vijay, you will always think of me in hate, in this one birth. that you will take. And you will develop, you will think of me through the practice of yoga. So when we talk about demons, we never saw demons like these, like Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu performed severe austerities for 100 years of the demigods. He stood with his arms outstretched on the tips of his toes. Even animals ate the flesh, he didn't move. Even the insects ate. He maintained his life force within the marrow of the bones. This austerity was so severe that eventually the demigods became completely disturbed. The material universe became disrupted. And they went to Lord Brahma. What's going on here? Who is this crazy man? You have to stop him. Go there. Pacify him. Give him anything. So at this time, Lord Brahma came before Hiranyakashipu and said, I will give you any benediction. You have to stop this severe tapasya. So Hiranyakashipu said, then make me immortal. Lord Brahma said, I am not immortal. How can I make you immortal? But Hiranyakashipu thought, oh, he's just giving me some quick talk, some clever talk. So he said, okay, then give me the benediction that I will not be killed in day or in night. Granted. Give me the benediction that I will not be killed on earth or in water or in the sky. Granted. So in this way, he calculated every, give me benediction, I will not be killed by any man or animal or demigod. Granted. So eventually, when he received all these benedictions from Lord Brahma, then he began to subjugate the whole universe, being the most powerful material being within the material universe. So this is the proper enemy for Lord Vishnu. Of course, we know that Lord Nrsingadev, when he appeared, he kept all the promises of Lord Brahma. He did not kill him in day or in night. He killed him just at twilight. He did not kill, another benediction, cannot be killed by any weapon. Did not kill with any weapon, he used his nails. He wasn't killed by any man or demigod or animal. He was killed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. He wasn't killed in the water or the land or the sky because Lord Nrsingadev grabbed him and put him on his lap, which is completely transcendental, beyond earth, water, or sky. So, this is the actual history that we're learning here. And the four Kumaras, Prabhupada mentions here and in a previous verse, that they had only realized, their spiritual realization was only to the level of the yogi. So the yogi meditates on Lord Vishnu within the heart, but he doesn't actively serve in bhakti yoga, the super soul, Paramatma, within the heart. So this is what we read in this verse. They say that, the Kumaras say here, where is it? Our dear Lord, even though you are not manifested to rascals, even though you are seated within the heart of everyone. So they could see Lord Vishnu in their heart. But as far as we are concerned, we see you face to face, although you are unlimited. So when they saw Lord Vishnu personally before them, and they smelled the aroma of the tulsi leaves on the feet of Lord Vishnu, then their minds were immediately overcome with bhakti. So they began their devotional service by seeing Lord Vishnu at the gates of Vaikuntha. Other sages have also commented that that is why Jai and Vijay prevented the Kumaras from actually entering Vaikuntha. Because although they were perfect yogis, they were not active in the process of devotional service. They had not begun bhakti yoga. So this is a very advanced subject matter. And for us here in Kali Yuga, this is all amazing for us to hear or to understand. The personalities that we're reading about here in Srimad Bhagavatam, they performed tremendous austerities for thousands of years in order to purify themselves to come to this level of realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the Bhagavatam also tells us, Kalaya dosha nadhe raja nastiheko mahadguna kirtana deva krishnasya mukta sangha param vraje. So we are living in the most condemned time. Everyone here, you turn on the news, you look on the internet, you're going to see something horrible, horrible, every day, hour by hour. Something really, really disturbing. So in the Kali Yuga, we have no self-control. We are short-lived. We are uneducated. We cannot perform austerities. So how can we advance in spiritual life? How can we come to this level of spiritual realization? How can we even hear Srimad Bhagavatam and have a clear understanding of what the Bhagavatam is telling us? So in the Kali Yuga, there is one great quality. That simply by chanting the holy name of Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, one can overcome all the bad qualities of Kali Yuga and come to the level of spiritual realization. So that is why Rupa Goswami prayed, Namo Mahavaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaurati Se Namaha. That Lord Chaitanya is the most magnificent of all personalities. Because he is immediately, even though we're the least qualified persons, he's immediately giving us the highest level of spiritual realization. Srila Prabhupada said that the yoga system is like climbing to the top of the Empire State Building. So first you have to climb to the first floor. So the first floor is like Karma Yoga. Then you have to climb to the next floor. It's become like Jnana Yoga. Then you have to climb to the next floor, which is Ashtanga Yoga. So those of you who know Empire State Building, the 86th floor is the observation deck. So it actually goes taller, but that's the highest you could go when you go to visit, 86th floor. So that's a lot of work. But Srila Prabhupada said our process is to get in the elevator and go immediately to the top. This is the process of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That even though we have no qualification, if we take seriously to the chanting of Hare Krishna, then we become Vaishnava and we come to the highest level of spiritual realization. High enough to be able to understand Srimad Bhagavatam. High enough to be able to influence others in the process of Krishna consciousness. So This is the power of Srila Prabhupada as the representative of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu here in the West. Srila Prabhupada was not a whimsical person. He received the instruction to come here to the West from his own spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, in the 1930s. So at that time, Prabhupada was a householder. Prabhupada had children, but he began preparing in order to perform this mission. Bhaktisiddhanta had sent disciples to London, and after a few years, they gave up, they came back, they told their spiritual master, there's Britishers, they're not interested, we cannot do anything to influence them. So this is the miracle. This is Srila Prabhupada's miracle, to come to the West and to implant the seed of real Krishna consciousness. And we're so fortunate here because Prabhupada came first to New York. When I meet my God brothers from all around the world, I tell them the same thing. Come to New York. Prabhupada came to New York. When Prabhupada was present, the New York temple was the largest, most powerful temple in the world, and paid for construction in the Bombay temple and also Krishna Balaram Mandir. So that time I was a book distributor, I was a brahmachari. Even if we collected nickels and dimes, became a tremendous amount of money that Prabhupada used in order to build Krishna consciousness worldwide. So we could say New York was like a touchstone that gave birth to all our big projects around the world. Same thing, our leaders. Mostly, they came from New York. They joined in New York, and then they traveled all around the world, following Prabhupada's instructions. So we have the greatest opportunity to fulfill Prabhupada's mission here in New York. Prabhupada's ambition for New York was very large. Prabhupada wanted a large building in Manhattan. And we did get that for Srila Prabhupada in late 1975. Unfortunately, after Prabhupada left, we did not keep it. But still, that is the standard we should understand. What did Srila Prabhupada want? This is what Srila Prabhupada wanted. He told us. He was there. I'm digressing a little bit more for those who are disciples in coming in our sampradaya. So we have 15 more minutes. Nityananda Sunirmal, what would you like? Continue talking? Should we have some questions or?
No question.
Okay.